I would make this a really even money affair.
Yes, you may be tired, you may be jaded with all the matches that you've played, but when you've just got one more match to play, the grand final with a chance to lift the trophy and be the Bet Victor 2022 Champion League snooker champion, you always are able to summon up one last and final effort.
When they met in the group phase yesterday, Bingham won 3-2. Had breaks of 75, 67 and 56 to get the verdict there. Overall, though, Higgins has won the vast majority of their meetings.
John has had a little bit of time to rest and relax ahead of this final. Stuart Bingham, of course, has just won that nail-biting decider with Liang Wenbo. Superb red from John Higgins.
One.
To get things moving here in this final. Always nice when those hit the back of the pocket. John would love to get onto that red to the right of the black. That would free the black up into both corners.
Three. Four.
John may be perfectly positioned on this blue here to play for that red that's to the right of the black. That's the one he wants to get out of the way.
Nine. Ten. Seventeen. 18.
Running out of loose reds here, John. And maybe one more that will pot into the right corner, but he may take this opportunity to go into the reds. Well, we can just see there's a red just below the pink that pots into the left corner. And John has played for it and played it well.
25. 26.
The Championship League started in 2008. John Higgins is trying to become only the second player to win it 3 times. The first was Judd Trump. Higgins is trying to win it for the third time since 2017.
Another beautifully judged cannon from John Higgins.
33.
He remains in perfect position here. Red to the left corner, can just run through a few inches for the black.
$34.
Just the sort of start that John Higgins was looking for. Excellent red to get in with. He's beginning to just develop these reds.
Must feel as though he's playing with house money, Dom, after Jan Bingtown missed that pink. It was an extraordinary match, wasn't it, in so many ways. And to come through in the way he did, psychologically, might be feeling as though he's got a free pass here.
42.
Jan Bingtown looks set to clear up for victory. Was nicely on the brown, but overscrewed it for the blue and left himself dead straight on it. Just rolled the blue in, left a pressure pink, and it just wobbled. And he didn't get away with it. He left it for John Higgins. That's why he's in the final.
And Higgins would have been kicking himself because he was well in front in that decider and missed an absolute dolly red to the pocket he's just knocked the black
49.
into.
Yes, and later on took on a risky cross double which he missed. And it was from that mistake that Jan Bingtown nearly cleared up from.
50.
Now a little loose with the position there. Wanted to be an inch or two more towards the baulk line than he is.
Well, if he's considering the brown, it's a bold shot choice. Got a useful lead here, doesn't have to take a risk. Has the option to put a colour safe. Seven reds remaining. 83 points in total are still left on the table.
Bramble.
I think John was very prudent there,
John
but he
Higgins,
could have
50.
put the brown a little safer than he has, and that cue ball hasn't found the baulk cushion.
Thank you.
Cue ball failing to reach baulk. Stuart could cut this red into the left corner. It's a tricky one though. He may feel he needs to play it with check side to avoid cannoning into other balls. .50 points behind. If he takes the red on, it's a chance to get back into the frame. Remaining 7 reds are all potable.
Well, having missed that red, the end position of the cue ball could have been much worse from Stuart Bingham's viewpoint. One thing that John Higgins will like, one red is run safe. There's nothing easy left. In total Championship League meetings between these two, Bingham leads 5-3 with one draw, but in all other tournament meetings it's a landslide, their head-to-head series, 14-3 to Higgins. Now though, over the best R5 at the end of 4 gruelling days for the Scot. Well, I think it's a big leveler, Dom.
Certainly is. These best of fives can go either way, really. If you can just win the first frame, get off to a good start, your opponent's under immediate pressure. John just swerving around the pink just a little there to hit the thin edge of that red to return to bolt, but what a fortuitous rebound from the knuckles, the jaws of that corner pocket. That could have easily gone in off.
The one positive for Bingham, at least playing this, he's removing one of the now 2 awkward reds. In fact, 2 for the price of 1.
Well, that puts John under a little bit of pressure, but I think the red to the right of the black, John can attempt here. It's a thin cut, but the cue ball should avoid the cannon on the black. Can play the cue ball for position on the pink, or even try and get in behind it for safety. John didn't look at the cut back on the red that I suggested. Still trying to get the cue ball in behind the pink, but he won't be happy that the cue ball's rebounded 18 or 20 inches off that bolt cushion. Stuart will certainly take this red onto the right corner. No guarantee of position from it though. Excellent red from Stuart Bingham. His first point of this final. Would have loved to have been on that pink though. Having that pink on its spot around the reds. Well, was that a push shot? It was indeed.
Stuart Bingham 1.
Misstruck by Stuart Bingham. The push shot declared by himself, I believe. That's good sportsmanship, and that's something we're proud of in snooker. Well done, Stuart Bingham.
Yes, just felt the tip of his cue. Catching the cue ball again.
1.
It's one of those nights, Dominic, where all kinds of stuff is cropping up.
Absolutely, Phil. The majority of the matches this evening have been incident packed. Never quite
8.
know what's going to happen next.
Nine.
This frame now firmly in the
14.
bag for John Higgins. He can relax a little.
Nice. 50. $22. Thanks. 23. $30. Foul.
Higgins catches the blue on the way through, but it matters not a jot.
5. John Higgins 30 and the free.
So Stuart Bingham concedes he had a possible chance there to clear up, but very sportingly owned up to a push shot on the yellow. Higgins had made a 50 break before that, and then he tidied up. In the final of the BetVictor Championship League, first blood has been drawn by the Scot. Higgins leads Bingham 1-0. Welcome back to Leicester. The winning post is getting ever closer in this marathon BetVictor Championship League. Stuart Bingham has had an early setback in the final. John Higgins leads 1-0.
John Higgins to break.
Of course, it's only a race to 3. You're right about the adrenaline kicking in, Dom. In his last few group matches, and indeed in the semi-final, I thought that Higgins seemed flat, but now he's in this final. In that opening frame, it was the normal John Higgins, full of vim, vigour, intensity, desire. Well, normally you want to avoid a double kiss, but that one really helped.
Certainly did. Stuart actually struck the wrong side of that red in trying to pot it. John needs to be a little careful here. He doesn't pot the black. Oh, his cue ball's a bit pacey. No obvious harm done though. Is John taking this red on? Oh, it was close, but it was risky, and he's been very, very fortunate. That's exactly the sort of run of the ball that every player dreams of.
So that's the equaliser. Both missed a red from distance, both got away with it. Higgins needed cover, and he hasn't got any.
No, and I think this red is straight enough for Stuart to just play it in with topspin and avoid the cannon on the red to the right of it. So I'll be playing up for the blue or bolt colours here, I feel. Oh, he just glanced the red.
One.
But he's still on the blue, and he's sufficiently the wrong side of it to be able to take the cue ball in and out of bolt without too much difficulty. But this is an awkward break from Stuart's point of view. The pink is out of commission, the black is surrounded by reds and doesn't seem to go anywhere unless he can somehow get behind it for the left corner. So positionally, this break could be very challenging for Stuart Bingham.
Seven.
Successive shots where he's avoided hefty congestion.
cleverly Stuart playing for the red that's just above the black spot, because from that he should be able to stun him behind the black for the same pocket. How well has he played this? Does he have that 3/4 ball angle that he's looking for? Oh, he has.
12.
And now this is a really good chance for Stuart.
That was a really sloppy positional shot, wasn't it? I can only assume it was slightly awkward cueing, and maybe he was a little off balance. Caused him to mistime the shot, Dom.
Yes, a little clumsy, really. Stuart just wasn't able to get low enough on the cue ball just to kill the pace of it. I think it'll still cut in this red, but the cue ball will be cannoning into another red above it. No guarantee of position, and of course the pot's quite tricky. Oh, he avoided the cannon. I'm not sure Stuart expected that, but he'll be very pleased to be in good position for choice of yellow or green.
Check side off the ball cushion really helped there. I think he just about grazed the brown. But somehow he's keeping this break going.
Red just next to the pink may pot into
22.
the left corner. It's very tight. Maybe it doesn't, but he has another alternative to the same pocket.
$23.
I'll tell you what, unlike the air miles on his cue ball in this break, he could fly to New York and back.
Well,
28.
I think finally he has run out of position here. The only chance of a pot is the one next to the pink if it goes, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. No. Just a safety shot now. Wasn't a bad effort from Stuart. That break was never going to be an easy one to make.
Stuart Bingham, 28.
And let's face it, you don't want to give the 2015 world champion 4 blacks start with reduced numbers of reds on the table, which is effectively this is.
What a kiss on the brown. Stuart Bingham may be snookered here on all reds. Chance he can get through to the red just above the pink possibly, but what can he do with that? Don't think it pots into the left corner. Oh, he's playing a swerve here. He's going to try and get the thin edge of this red. Too thin. But he's been very fortunate, I think. In fact, he may have snookered John Higgins if this cue ball keeps running. Amazing. Well, what does John do here? He could cut the red into the left corner, but the chances of him getting the cue ball safe are very slim.
Sometimes your thought process is crystallized by having only one choice. There you go. Now, what about the kiss? Deserve better.
That was unlucky, wasn't it? Terrific pot from John Higgins. But to not have a choice of a colour was unlucky. Playing the pink tells me John will try to get the cue ball in behind the brown here. The line's good. Just a few inches short of pace. Stuart's problem here are the two reds near that left hand side cushion. If he plays a little thin edge safety off the four reds near the pink spot, he'll have to avoid them. Well, he's playing the red next to the blue spot so he can get through to that. Good shot from Stuart there. I think he's covered the red that's near the right corner.
It's been a really frustrating so near and yet so far season for John Higgins. Beaten in a succession of finals. He wants to end that unwanted trend right here this evening. Started off in October, lost to Mark Allen 9-8 in the Northern Ireland Open final. Then he went on to the English Open, lost 9-8 to Neil Robertson from in front. At the Champion of Champions, it was Judd Trump who confined John Higgins to the runner-up placing. And then, of course, at the Scottish Open, he was second best to Luca Brissell.
John catching that red too thin, but the cannon to that secondary red has just about lifted the cue ball up towards bulk. That could have been a lot worse for John there. Nevertheless, there may be a pot on for Stuart, the red that's just above the pink. You can avoid the cannon on it, swing the cue ball around the angles for the brown. But likewise much too thin, and I don't think Stuart's been quite so fortunate.
What he has left though, Bingham, is a pressure pot. Playing that one was more cautious, but also built-in position was questionable. Tom at that pace. What a shot.
Yes, John
7.
took great care to cue this well. And he certainly did just that.
Eight.
Oh, he's nailed this. What a beautiful judge of pace that was. So, John can now consider options in terms of bringing reds into play. Don't think any of those four just below the pink will pot anywhere.
30. Yeah. Nice. 40.
As you so often see when the extension is used, players don't quite get hold of the cue ball as they would normally.
Difficult to guess really whether John will prefer to play for the black or try and get good position on the blue here. Needs to try and get into those four reds. As I say, I don't think they pot anywhere. And the only other red is the one in that left hand side cushion opposite the yellow. Well, John did what I didn't think he would do and play for the pink in the centre, but he's overran by several inches. If he was on the black, he'd have been fine. He could have played the cannon into the reds from that. Well, if he's shaping up to cut this pink in, it's difficult. You don't practice these very often. If you do miss them, you'll tend to undercut them rather than overcut them.
Knowing the way that Higgins works out what's the correct shot, the percentage shot, I'd be astounded if he took on the pink. Smashing piece of cueing, and look at the position on that red. He could not have placed it with his hand much better.
No, from a point of view of potting the red, he really couldn't be any better on the red. Just a little straight maybe. Oh, he's forced an angle from somewhere. He may be on the pink here. Oh, he is. He's beautifully on the pink, just to nudge a couple into play. This is the sort of position he was looking for a couple of shots ago.
And if this shot works out correctly for Higgins, 2-0 will be looming.
Plays on the red to the right centre. I think that's what John intended. Very handy when you've got the pink and black to choose between. John may be able to just pop the red into the centre and just nudge through the one below it for the pink in the left centre. Or is he screwing back for the black?
34.
Well, that has opened things up just beautifully for John Higgins, and now he'll be very disappointed not to extend his lead to 2-0.
Now this is the
41.
kind of red, not identical, but in the same ballpark as the one he missed when he was totally in control of the deciding frame against Yan Bingtao in the group semi-final. But lightning doesn't strike twice. .22 ahead. So red colour red, that's what he needs
49.
to double his advantage.
$50.
Well, he must focus on this black. If he plays a cannon to the pink to hold for the red, you just never know. Wobbles in, didn't play the cannon, didn't really need to. Just needs the red.
57. $58.
Well, he's made 8 century breaks in the two groups he's participated in. But given its context, given the circumstances, given its timing, this is one of the best breaks he's made
62.
in the entire tournament, if not the best. It's been so cleverly constructed.
64.
You're absolutely right, Phil. I'm sure Stuart Bingham could not have expected John
67.
to win the frame from the chance that he had. Had to work so hard to develop the ball. Somehow he managed it, as he often does.
71. $76. $82 and frame. John Higgins.
Pure class from John Higgins. What a break that was. But, you know, on 3 occasions in this group, John Higgins has been 2-0 down and won 3-2. He knows things can turn around quickly. There will be no complacency for the Scot, even though he leads 2-0. big news here. John Higgins on the verge of overall victory in the BetVictor Championship League. It's a race to 3 this final, but Stuart Bingham well capable of reeling off 3 frames against anyone. Things in this format can be transformed rapidly.
Stuart won't be pleased that the black has been surrounded by 2 reds from his break-off shot. When you're 2-0 behind, you're always looking for quick ways to get back into a match, and that hasn't helped. Oh, but that has. John taking that red on, attempting to stun the cue ball around the angles, but the red has wobbled, and Stuart has an opportunity here. When you're on the verge of defeat, as Stuart is, it's very difficult to concentrate. Very difficult to keep the focus going and still believe that you can pull this match out of the fire.
Thank you. 7. Eight. Thirteen.
That was exactly the sort of split that Stuart was looking for. The break can continue, it has a simple red. Problem is, although the pink is available, getting onto it will be tricky. So just having to concentrate for now on the blue and bulk colour, Stuart. Didn't judge that particularly
14.
well, but he still has a straightish blue to the yellow pocket, which he'll be happy with.
$90. 20.
Knows what it takes to capture the Championship League title. He did so in 2015. And in the final there, he won 3-2, beating Mark Davis. That's the only possible scoreline now if
22.
Bingham is going to be successful.
be 2-0 behind in a best of 5 and you get a chance, you just know you have to make the most of it. And Stuart has a chance right here to do just that.
Six. Stuart Bingham, 26.
He can't believe it. We can't believe it. Again, you can only assume, and we've seen this a lot today, you can only assume he was putting so much thought into the positional cannon. The pot was neglected. Not a conscious thing, subconsciously, but it could be really expensive.
Well, not quite such a fortuitous kiss for John Higgins. He's also on the blue to the yellow pocket, but well, you can see why he was lucky to be on the blue to the yellow pocket, because that red was potted very much on the thin side. Now John may well still take this blue on, but it's not the sort of angle that will suit him. As you can see, his head is facing towards the brown, but the pocket is way over to the left, so it's a blind cut back this. And it's gone astray.
John Higgins, 1.
Right from match 1, day 1,
5.
just before Christmas. One of the great characteristics of both of these tables has been the fact that if you want to screw back, you can do so. We've seen some extraordinary power shots. The cloth is so conducive to a deep screw shot.
Six.
Well, does Stuart have the angle on the pink here to screw into those 5 reds? Oh, there's your answer. But he didn't get enough action on the cue ball. I was expecting that to just really grip the cloth and speed into the reds, but it didn't. Now he still has a red on, possibly to the right centre. But does Stuart think he can screw off the reds for position on the black, maybe?
Stuart Bingham 12.
So he's accumulated a useful lead. Oh, and that was a useful nudge. Off the brown in behind the green. When you're as good tactically as John Higgins, you don't need that kind of good fortune. When it comes your way, it makes you unbeatable. Look at this.
Yeah, fortunately for Stuart, I think if he rolls up dead weight to the red in this left corner pocket, it'll be perfectly safe. Oh, but not like that. He didn't catch enough of the red. Now will John be tempted to trundle this red along the top cushion past the black and into the corner pocket? I don't think he'd leave a lot if he missed it, and he'd be on the black if it went in. He's having a look at it. It's interesting him.
I like that descriptive term, Dom. Trundle. That's what he did. Now this won't be a trundle. It will be a proper stroke. Yeah. At that pace, that was asking a great deal.
John Higgins 1.
I'm not altogether sure that John intended to play it with quite so much force. Maybe there's a little bit of adrenaline in this, I don't know. You'll seldomly see John Higgins play a shot with quite that much power.
And so with his third chance of the frame, can Stuart Bingham get his first frame on the board?
Stuart just glancing at the scoreboard. He may be considering potting the red, playing a delicate cannon into that little trio of reds below the pink to hold for the black. No, decides against it, and that's because he doesn't need any of those three reds.
5.
Just this black, the loose red and another black, and John Higgins will require snookers.
12.
In his very first match of this group yesterday morning, Bingham was 2-1 down to Yan Bingtao. Came back to win 3-2 on the final black. He's been fighting all the way through this winners group. Don't discount his chances. That would be foolhardy. He would love another red in, just to make absolutely sure.
Well, he may be on this red to the green pocket. It looks difficult, but actually, I half fancy Stuart for this. Indeed.
21.
Yeah, didn't need to bother about position. He's now 57 ahead, 43 on. Looking at the scoreboard, I would be surprised even with these powers of escapology if Higgins came back to the table. Indeed, John Higgins makes Stuart Bingham's mind up for him. He says, don't worry, Stuart, I'm going to concede. And so, Bingham does win the third frame. This final is still very much alive. John Higgins' advantage is trimmed. It's 2-1. Premier League pool the week after next in Milton Keynes. Can't wait for that one. It's the start of the Matchroom Multisport revolution for that sport, which is going to be phenomenal as 2022 goes on. Now back to the snooker. Can John Higgins put the lid on this? Well, his initial break-off in the fourth frame wasn't the best, Dom.
No, that cue ball nowhere near the bolt cushion. I'm actually surprised Stuart prefers this straightish red to the right corner. It's a lot harder than the three-quarter ball red in shot there to the left corner. Only thing is, this more difficult red offers better prospects for position on the black. Again, took the bold option, Stuart Bingham, and knocked that red in. That was a super pot, and he's in good position here. John Higgins will be ruining that break off.
Yeah, at the Morningside Arena in Leicester, they hosted the shootout
8.
quite recently. In the final, 10 minutes of course that. Mark Williams broke off. Iran's Hossein Vafai knocked in a terrific red, screwed back on a colour, did enough to lift the trophy. When you're breaking off, you need to be tight. And Higgins most certainly wasn't.
Stuart again there, just playing for the loose red. He had the chance to go into the pack and develop a few more. I think the red that's directly above the black at the back of the pack will pot into the left-hand corner. And Stuart here, if he lands low on the red, and he certainly has, can bring further reds into play. It's a good ploy this, you guarantee opening the pack of reds, but you can't quite guarantee perfect position. But Stuart's controlled 25. The cue ball there very, very well. A little unlucky not to bring further reds into play, I feel.
Yeah, what was beneficial though, you see the red going down towards the middle pocket, catching the bump and becoming available. Eventually available.
Stuart miscontrolled that one. That cue ball's a long way away from his next red.
.33.
Potted it just a little thickly, that's why the cue balls run low on the black. Now Stuart, if he feels the cue ball will avoid cannoning of the reds, may play for that red that's near the centre pocket now. Is he considering cannoning into the cluster here?
.40. .41.
Surely we couldn't see a maximum break, could we? That's not bad. The lower of the two reds to the right centre.
48.
Gives Stuart the chance to once again play for the black. He's thinking about the maximum.
.49. .56. .57.
This is the 8th black coming up.
There have been 12 maximums over the years in the Championship League. And Stuart Bingham made the most recent last year against Tebchara Nu. And he knows all about the territory.
64.
He's made 8 maximums in professional competition. Only Ronnie O'Sullivan, John Higgins and Stephen Hendry have constructed more.
Well, I don't know whether he'll make one now. He's just the wrong side of this red. He could possibly get onto the black, but winning the championship is surely more important, isn't it? It is, and Stuart
65.
thinks so too.
Oh, undoubtedly the correct decision. Not a time to showboat. And there you see that red I said about hitting that near, or far jaw I should say, and coming into play, is now very much coming to Bingham's assistance.
Stuart will
71.
certainly have his eye on the high break prize though, which currently stands at 143 by China's Zhao Xintong.
Yes, he's taken one blue, so the break goes to 78.
78.
67 on the table. That's 145 possible.
79.
Well, the frame's now perfectly secure from Stuart's point of view. We're going to be heading into a decider to decide the championship.
'86.
In terms of total clearances, this winners group has been top notch. When you think
87.
Bingham himself has made a 141, Yan Bingtao 142, his highest ever break in professional competition, and as Dom said, Zhao Xintong 143. He's currently the front runner for the £1,000 highest break
94.
bonus for the group, but it's clearly under serious threat.
95.
Oh, that seemed to be a rather speedy bounce from the top cushion. Stuart's a little out of position here.
102. $103.
Trying to maximise earnings. To pip Zhao Xintong's break, he can afford one pink.
Stuart's problem here is he can play for the red that's next to the pink into the right corner, which is easier for Stuart. But the problem is he'll probably have an angle on it to take the cue ball towards the blue and bulk colours, which is of course no good to him. He may have to consider playing the red to the right centre here.
And that's not too shabby, actually. Oh, just grazing the near jaw and refusing to drop. So Zhao's high break in the group is safe, but the winners group, so keenly contested right from the get-go, appropriately is going down to one last deciding frame. It is John Higgins 2, Stuart Bingham 2. two world champions locked together at 2-2. It's all come down to this.
Deciding frame. Stuart Bingham to break.
After 8 groups, 192 matches and countless frames, the overall title rests on a single frame. Frankly, nowhere near the original attempt. He was closer to the fluke. Caught that far too full.
One.
I've talked about his defeats in 4 finals this season, John Higgins, in the Northern Ireland Open and the English Open. He was on the brink of silverware. Couldn't cross the line quite.
6.
Is it going to be history repeating itself?
Well, it could very well be, Phil. I always think as he gets older,
7.
winning just means more and more, and the pressure just gets to you a little bit more than it may have done a couple of decades earlier.
$14. 15.
I think you're absolutely right, although it has to be said that Stuart Bingham is only 1 year the junior of Higgins. 45 against 46.
22. 23.
Easy to see that Stuart's tempo has increased somewhat. Whether that's something that Stuart's done deliberately or whether it's just the pressure and the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Won't be happy with that positional shot. He'll struggle to play for the blue now, may have to play for a bulk colour with an angle to go into the pack of reds maybe. He could hold for the blue, but having to really dig into the cue ball to do so. He's managed it, but not as much angle on this blue than he'd hoped for. Was able just to play with that one low and loose red, so imperative here that Stuart gets a good angle on a colour to go into the pack of reds, and that
37.
looks to be it, but no guarantee this will work out for Stuart. Normally these flat back packs, as Willie Thorne used to describe them as, are not suited, and there is another example of it.
44.
Well, this contribution has put him in the driver's seat, but of course it's light years away from being decisive.
Stuart Bingham. 44.
John Higgins knows now that any more mistakes could and probably will be his last.
Thank you.
Has the bump. Scuppered Bingham.
Well, if ever a look on somebody's face gave you an answer to a question, Stuart Bingham has left this red on.
Really, really well controlled. The way this table has been playing, with the adrenaline in his cue arm, that might have been easy for Higgins to overscrew and not be on the black.
Oh, I'll tell you something, Phil, there can't be more than fractions in it. John would love to be able to stun into that little group of reds to develop them. It's just a little straight on the black to do that. But he's back in the frame with an opportunity to raise some of this 44-point deficit.
Nine.
Right now, Bingham will be sitting there thankful for that one awkward red on the left-hand side cushion, I can tell you.
Well, Phil, I'm just trying to think of anyone I'd least rather be facing in a situation like this. And a no name springs to mind.
He's produced so many unbelievable clearances in the past. Is there another in the locker? The Higgins locker.
He's just a fraction too straight on this red. He needs to punch this in. Oh, he's decided to roll it in.
17.
I thought he'd take the cue ball off a side cushion there and punch the red in for a better angle on the black. Now, the left-hand red of that little quartet will pot into the left corner, but can John get onto it? He may have to play for the same red, but in the right centre. Well, is he going to play this with top spin and a trace of right-hand side and play for the red in the left corner? This cue ball will be travelling several feet.
Struck that black into the thin half of the pocket, as it were,
24.
off that far jaw. That widened the angle. There you see it.
Sort of clubbed that black in, though. It wasn't a smooth stroke from John. There was a little bit of stun in the cue ball there, which prevented the cue ball from running on. Now, is he looking at the double? And we know how good John Higgins is at attempting doubles.
money in the bank, and look at the position on the black.
And of course, Phil, he's now got rid of the only awkward red.
$32.
Smack bang. All right in the frame now. But he's plotting how to win the frame at this visit.
And he may just have an angle here, Phil, to go into those 3 reds if he wishes. He can still play for the lone loose red.
$40.
Not easy with the extension. Higgins. Rest play's not his forte. Ooh. It used every inch of the pocket.
41.
Just about wobbled in.
Well, he certainly has an angle on the black to go into the 3 reds. He doesn't need to go into them with too much pace. They'll split well. Oh, it's worked out a charm.
The heart of one Stuart Bingham
48.
has just sunk.
$49.
But it's been such a crazy group, such a crazy evening. I, for one, are taking nothing for granted. He's 10 in front now.
54. $55.
John must be feeling the nerves and the tension. Stuart, well, you can see by the expression on his face,
Yeah.
he thinks that his race is run.
Well, here if he pots the black, then red-blue, it would then be frame and match ball on the yellow. Now remember, he's under
62.
enormous pressure, internal pressure created by those defeats in 4 finals
60.
this season. He didn't want a 5th defeat in a final. Desperately wanted to avoid that. Mathematically,
68.
the yellow, as I said before, is frame and match ball, but he wants a couple more colours to be absolutely sure.
$70.
Well, Stuart Bingham had a lead of 44 points. He played a safety shot, just caught the bump of the middle pocket. Gave John a lifeline. And a lifeline he's grasped with both hands. What a terrific break this has been from John Higgins.
Of course, next week he defends his Players' Championship title down in Wolverhampton. If he does get over the line here, that will give him enormous confidence. A massive boost.
Thanks.
And I think Bingham's goose is now cooked.
73. $77.
If this break was in the first frame of the first group just before Christmas, we'd be saying what a fine effort it was.
82.
In the last frame, to lift the trophy, it's simply brilliant.
Very much.
John Higgins is a winner.